Greetings, good listeners. Hello. So, at the beginning of the month or last week or something, I decided to try out this Saturday morning cartoons idea that I had, which is basically my version of an ancestral live talk show. So, my idea was, kind of like a talk show. I show up and do a little opening monologue, and then we have an interview with an ancestor, and then we close. And I really love this idea. And I'm still, after doing it for the first week, and I kind of decided I would show up Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 11 a.m. To do this. And after the first week, I was like, I don't know if this is the right time. I still love the idea, but I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. Um, And so today I'm going to do a slightly different format. So I just woke up this morning and I had something that was coming out. So I wrote it down about the eclipse, which was yesterday. And I'm just going to share it. So I'm just going to share what I read. Oh, look at me. I'm in the corner. Okay. So it's called I Come From Eclipse People. Okay. So this morning, I sat at my altar. First thing I did, I sang to the water, um, morning practice. And after I sang, the first thing that came out was I just spoke this truth. I said, I come from Eclipse people. Those are my ancestors. Now, there's so much more that I can say about what that means and where and who it comes from and what that indicates as a life path. What does it mean to come from eclipse people as a life path? And um, that whole topic can be for another day. But today, um, I just wanted to name that here on YouTube Live. That I come from eclipse people, and I was actually born on a total lunar eclipse as well. And these ancestors that I come from and that I speak and who speak through me, we consider ourselves cosmic earth stewards. Okay, so that means earth stewardship is fundamentally connected to our relationship with the stars and the celestial movements and understanding the universe as a whole, and our relationship with universe, spirit, quantum mechanics, energetics, all of that, as they say, esoteric stuff, right, is not um, disconnected from our dedication to the earth and the reality of what is happening on the earth and the earth's full body. And that's sort of, many people have a problem with spirituality that has that disconnect, right? And a lot of YouTube spirituality is like that, and that's why it's so weird on YouTube, right? It's like completely disconnected from the reality of what's going on the planet. And my problem with that is really that then the spirituality becomes extractive, right? It's like um, in order to ignore the reality of what's happening in the world, um, in some of the most devastating places, like what do you then have to do with your spirituality in order to continue ignoring that? You have to be extractive um, and exploitative. Your practice then becomes exploitative and extractive, and that's what really pisses me off. But we won't get into that today. It's not what this is about. So let me just say for right now, I come from eclipse people and a long line of cosmic earth stewards. And then as I was channeling that this morning, I realized I wanted to talk about these converging paradigms that we're feeling right now. So, in an earlier podcast episode that I published, it's called Am I in the Right Relationship? A story came through that episode where my future partner had just witnessed me perform on stage 11 years ago on my birthday. um, which I did perform at Buddies in Bad Times Theater in 2013 on my birthday at a queer performance cabaret. And my future partner was in the audience. And they had the choice in the moment as to whether or not they were going to come and talk to me. Um, in other words, on a spiritual level, like we had a choice as to whether or not we were going to start our relationship at that point. And so that was 11 years ago. And spoiler alert, we didn't. Hence why this person is still my future partner and not my current partner, at least not in the 3D. And why they're not my ex, to be real. Because if we had started our relationship 11 years ago, like it's kind of up in the air. Would we still be partners now, or would our relationship not have survived the level of ancestral initiations that we both went through from then until now, right? Meaning the way that both of us were divinely purposed to shed and dismantle our entire relationship DNA, right? Which is what I did in the last decade. It's what my partner did in the last decade in order to truly be the people that we want to be today and to have an experience in a long term relationship that we truly desire. So we didn't choose each other in that moment. So in that story, I take you through how that choice didn't happen, right? And in the story, something comes up where after my partner watches me perform on stage, he then goes and he sees these two massive kind of tectonic plates converging from like one corner of the sky to another. I'm like, I'm trying to mirror myself anyway. This is so weird the way that the video is showing up. Anyway, it's like one was in the northeast, one was in the southwest, and they were coming together. These like what it looked like was giant 3D rectangles floating down from the sky. And I knew that they were paradigms, right? And they weren't supposed to exist at the same time. And having two different paradigms that are inherently contradictory to one another, in and yet they're both still just there. And the question for that moment was, can you just be in at peace with this convergence, this contradiction in the universe right now? Can you just be at peace with the fact that this conflict is here? And can you just make a choice? So I'm bringing up this story again here today because this morning, as I was remembering and speaking this truth that I come from Eclipse people, um, this story, these converging tectonic plates as conflicting paradigms came up again, and I remembered what I had written in this episode. And why? Because as someone who comes from Eclipse people, there's something deep, deep in my heart that needs to experience really all the time, but especially during an eclipse portal. I need to be in deep ritual in a way that makes sense to me. I need to be in meaningful ritual. I need to engage in ceremony and ceremonial living in a way that is meaningful to me and the people that I come from. Um, the people that I come from in terms of my earth steward, my cosmic earth steward ancestors, okay? And this is, I'm like, there is a complicated conversation that can open up here. What does it mean? In terms of honoring the rituals of from the people that you come from, right? Because so many of the people that we come from are wounded and maybe come from cultures or ways of being spiritual sort of yes, even spiritual values or traditions, right? That don't actually align with us. And that is especially pronounced for queer people, right? That happens to us a lot. Or we're holding that contradiction. So when I say I need to be in ritual and ceremony with the ancestors and the people that I come from. I'm talking about healed and healing ancestors. I'm talking about soul lineage. I'm talking about star lineage. I am talking about blood lineage, but I'm talking about ancestors in the blood lineage who are evolved and healed in such a way that they are in alignment with my values, my interests, my principles in this lifetime, in alignment with my sovereignty. Okay, so there's a bigger conversation to have around that, but we'll leave it there for now. But in connecting with these ancestors, it's about remembering how we used to do things, um, and finding ritual and meaning through that. And also acknowledging that, like, how we used to do things has been so desecrated and massacred and intentionally witch hunted. Um, so remembering how we used to do things is a big task. But it's also, as we remember, it's not about emulating or repeating exactly how they did things, because we can't. They lived in a different time period, a different reality, a different dimension, a different context. This is now here, right? And that, I think, is something important, for me to remind myself and to remind everyone who has a call to explore ancestral collaboration. It's not about doing things exactly the way they did things. It's a collaboration, right? To find the rituals, to find the meaning, to find the way of life here. Your ancestors want to collaborate and co create with you and create something specific from your unique way of doing things, their unique way of doing things, but that is meant for this time, this reality, the reality of your circumstances, the reality of our global circumstances. That's the way I see it, right? There isn't a magical ancestors that our ancestor there's not a magical answer that our ancestors have that they're like keeping from us, and when finally we're worthy, we will know what we're supposed to do. No, they truly just want to be in relationship with us. They want to collaborate with us. They want to get to know one another just like you would any other kind of sincere, dedicated relationship. And they want to co-create with us the magical answers that are available to us today. And that means it's really about collaborating with us on our daily choices, right? And why they hit hard this priority of sovereignty, right? It's about you. How do you make decisions for yourself? How do you co create with your team to make decisions that are best for you, the small ones and the big ones, right? So when an eclipse portal comes through, there's something in me that honestly, like, I'm not even always completely aware of how deeply I'm aching for the need to be in ritual, in ceremony, in ways that truly honors who I am, who we are, how I need and want to live. So yesterday, full moon eclipse, right? And I had a choice in front of me of like how I'm gonna spend my time, how I'm gonna spend this evening. And it's such a simple question, like, what are you going to do tonight? But it's the eclipse, and it's coming from eclipse people. Like, this is the most powerful, important part of the year. It is, it's so important to just spend it in right relationship, right? And not being able to do that, or being prevented to do that somehow, which sometimes has happened, or just not finding your way back to it in a way that like doesn't honor the ache, can be truly devastating to the heart. And also, there's no one right answer here. There is just, can you make a choice? Can you feel into what feels right for your heart and just choose that? So I woke up this morning and I was reflecting on the choices that were in front of me yesterday and the one that I chose. And actually had a really beautiful experience yesterday. It was incredible, actually. But I did have a few different choices in front of me, like, what am I going to do with my time? And on the one hand, I was like, okay, I could have done this thing, um and I didn't choose that, And because I didn't choose that, I missed out on something actually that was really big and important that I didn't get over here in the choice that I did make. But if I had made that choice, yes, I would have gotten these few things that were really meaningful and important to me. But something about it wasn't right. And I wouldn't have gotten this type of meaning that I got over here in this choice. And so, how do you be in right relationship when both choices, there's things in both choices that are incredibly meaningful and incredibly right to your heart, but there's also things in them, both places, that are like, oh, that's not really right. That's not right. That's not right for me. But over here, it's like, yes, A, B, and C is totally right for me. X, Y, Z, not so much. Right? So here so then, this is why I'm like, oh, this is the converging paradigms. These are the conflicting paradigms. These are two different paradigms with choices and experiences inside each paradigm that are existing at the same time. And there's a conflict in both places, right? And you are in conflict with both paradigms in some way, right? And that's, when I was like, damn, okay, so my greater spirit is now talking to me and repeating this episode, repeating the medicine from this earlier episode, and repeating those lines from my earlier episode. You are in the midst of two conflicting, converging paradigms, these two worlds that are not supposed to exist at the same time, and yet here they are. You are in it. Can you just be at peace with that? And can you just make a choice? So when I tuned into that, I remembered, as we've been talking about this whole time, all of the videos that I've shared so far in this Saturday morning cartoons, Mourning. Remember, we're in an end of life phase. We're closing Pluto and Capricorn. We are cosmic earth stewards. We are closing Pluto and Capricorn. And this is just what it's like here in an end of life phase. That's what it's like. There's two different worlds, and they're not supposed to exist at the same time. But you know that when you are here, it is the most sacred part of life, the end of life phase. And I said as much in another recent podcast episode that is called We Are Ready for Love in Our Lifetime. And that's kind of where we get to at the end of that episode. We're talking about, the last stretch of time that we have, whether it's with a relationship or whether it's with a period of time, an era itself on the planet, right? It is the most painful part of life to be present with, end of life. And maybe it is impossible to be present fully because you're pulled in between both worlds and it's painful to be here. But it is the most important part of life. It is what everything is for. This whole journey of the creative process, end of life, it's what everything is for. And I don't know how many people feel like that, but I know how true that is for me. And that is one thing that it means to come from Eclipse people. Like, that is what we know. That is what we know. That is what it means to be from Eclipse people, is that we do know that this is the most important part of life. And all of life exists here. All of life exists here. It's what everything is for, and it is like this. The choices are weird. We talk about alignment in spirituality, right? Like, that is what we talk about when we're like, am I in right relationship? And am I in alignment with my values, interests, principles? Am I rocking and rolling forward in life, truly like living, uh, you know, in ways that are right for my heart? And that's what we say in spirituality, right? Just get aligned, and then your blessings will start flowing. Sure, that's true. That's true. But what about right here? What about right here? What about the blessings that are right here in this contradiction? Because there isn't an alignment. That's literally what the medicine is. There was not a completely aligned choice that I had in front of me yesterday. There was just a choice, and I made it, and I had a beautiful experience. I had two choices, neither of them were completely aligned. But so how do you know when you're making the right choice or not? How do you know if you're in right relationship or not? If neither option is completely aligned, and that's actually just what it's like here. If you can be at peace with that, that is the alignment. If you can just make a choice, that is the alignment. If you can just appreciate what it is that you have here, whatever it is, and find the medicine, that is the alignment. That is the medicine. And so when you do that, and these converging tectonic plates, I see a road opening in between them. These two paradigms are both still here, but there's a road that opens and it just leads you forward to be in that energy of peace and of choice, um, and of sovereignty, really. That is how the medicine flows, and it's where you find the beauty, and it is where you find right relationship right here. So, how do I get this back again? Uh, oh, never mind. Don't ask again. Cancel. Oh my God. This is my. This software is confusing me now. Come back. There I am. I don't know what the fuck that was. That's, when I said, I was like, I don't know. I love this idea of Saturday morning cartoons on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, but I don't know if it's right for right now. There's things about it that feel the same thing, the same way, right? It feels so right. But I don't know. And I'm just like, I just have to make a choice. And so I did today, and I showed up and I shared something. But I don't know if I'm going to continue doing this, and maybe I will I'm thinking of potentially switching it to just Saturdays and doing something else with my time. I'm really just like, what is the best way for me to share my medicine at this moment? Share the teachings and the stories that are coming through me in all these different like platforms that I have, and with this larger intention that I have of like wanting to just share my voice more with the world, as I am now. But yeah, I'm still like, I don't know if this format that I decided to experiment with this month is really working for me. So I think I do want to still do Saturdays because I really like the interview with the fictional character, which you can look at the last video. Um, but I feel like I will decide tomorrow whether or not I'm going to come on tomorrow. There might be a better way for me to spend my day, honestly. um, so yeah, you may or may not see me tomorrow at 11:11 on Thursday. I'm going to leave it that for now. So, Eclipse blessings to you listening, and thanks for joining me on this journey. And we'll see you soon. Peace.